Hi, welcome to the Realtors Playbook. I'm Deborah Lucci. I run a team for William Ravis Realtors in Andover, Massachusetts, and I'm here with Matt Witte. He runs a team as well in Andover, Massachusetts. And we're going to talk today about schedules, and we're going to talk today about what we do as agents for scheduling and things like that. So Matt, what are you doing this time of year? It's January, it's a little bit of a slower time in real estate as far as probably selling homes, but what are you doing this time of year?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is, and it's going to sound really crazy, is that I have everything ready the night before. My lunch is ready, my clothes are ready, my iPad, which has my calendar, like everything is ready. And if it's not, then that pretty much dictates how that day starts off. So just getting in a good mental space for me is super important. So I'm trying to work on that to be more consistent with that. It doesn't always work out that way. But then I'm in the office like you pretty early. I'm here typically at 7 a.m. At the latest, and I'm just trying to get the day organized at that point. Do you know what I mean? Like the hourly, like, all right, I have this listing appointment, or I'm taking this buyer out, so on and so forth. And then prospecting is always in there, so it can be, like a prospecting 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., which is a combination of call, text, email. Text has gotten super popular as a lot of people are working, so they seem to respond a little bit more to text messages. It's almost like the new phone call, I think. And then throughout the day, if I have any open gaps, I try to get on social and comment, post, share, which is a form of prospecting in itself. And that's kind of the base of what the day looks like. And you know how real estate it goes. I mean, you could be putting out a fire, something came up,
Yeah,
so on
always.
and so forth.
Yeah.
What do you see typically on a daily for you?
So with me, you talk about like really the day before. I've been doing this for 18 years now. My trainer and I are having our 18th anniversary on January 31st. We're both getting very old, but I think that's one of the best things I've ever done for myself was hire a personal trainer. I don't like the gym, but I feel like it's really helped me out a lot. It's helped me out in business because I get up about 3:30 in the morning, 3 days a week. Like you were talking about, like I have like my bag packed because a lot of times I'm taking a shower at the gym, so I have all my clothes packed. I have my gym bag for lunch packed for that, so I have everything done. So typically, I'm getting up about 3:30. I'm pretty much on the road by 4:15, and that like sets the day for me. And what I do is the first thing I do is I listen to a podcast, and it has to be something about real estate because that's the mindset when I get up. It starts business, and I feel like if I've learned something new when I start, so that's probably about 35 minutes in the car going to this gym in Tewksbury. And I've learned something new, either from keeping current matters, ferry, there's different things that I might listen to, and then I go to the gym and I spend 2 hours, and I spend probably about 30, 45 minutes on the elliptical. Then I spend 15 minutes stretching, and then I spend about an hour with weights, and then I take a shower. And I'm a little high maintenance, so that takes me another hour. So by the time that's done, I'm pretty much ready to go to work. I've got the car clean, have my cup of coffee, 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm ready to roll. And I don't know about you, but well, when I was an agent, I mean, if I didn't have a home inspection, didn't have something exactly planned, I was banging the phones all the time.
Mhm.
Now, as a team lead, I think this is really the busiest time of year for us, and it wouldn't seem like it, but we're putting together. I have a 14 session buyers curriculum that we go through training with the agents. There's a 16 session sellers training that we go together, and what it is. And we also put together if when they interview with a buyer or interview with the seller, they can do it by paper,
Mhm.
depending on the age of the buyer or seller, or, if they want to get together in person, or if they want to do over Zoom. We also have that same presentation over like a bomb, and it's got all the stats. It's got the deed, the field card. We just put together a brand new marketing video. That's where I was Friday. I spent probably 3 hours doing that shoot. And we have a gentleman putting that's previously done our TV commercials, putting together that marketing video. So we have a buyers and sellers curriculum. We've put together a new buyers and sellers guide. We have a listing presentation or a buyers folder in paper. We also have that over bomb. So, if you've got like a seller that's and I brought her up a few times. She's like 80 years old. She's not going to want to do a bomb and Zoom.
And what
Okay.
is BombBomb for people, just in case people don't know what that is? I know you and I obviously use it,
Yeah.
but somebody
So
might not know.
yeah. So like right now, if I was presenting to you, I could take this, and that's how we use it the most. Is I could take this, and it looks like an email, but it's got different links on it, and we can play videos on it. So if I wanted to play our marketing video, I could do that. And then also, if I wanted to show you um, your field card, your deed. I wanted to open up our seller's guide, vendor's guide. Everything can be presented over Zoom. Um, and so remember before, like if I had somebody in Relo and I had to present to them, first of all, I didn't know what Zoom was years ago, so you couldn't do that. And we really didn't have a great presentation online for people. So
Hmm.
now you have to have both. You really do. So it's that much more work getting all this ready for the new year. This is the time of year we get together, and the admin staff is probably sick. We're probably sick of looking at each other. That's all. We're banging out things for like hours and hours on end, and we're getting together at this morning too. But we sort of look at, all right, what did we do last year? What can we do better? What needs to be updated? What do we give the agents to help them? And I think now we're really working on training. We're a lot. I mean, it's just different than when I started. I remember watching four David Knox videos upstairs, and then I came downstairs, and Doug Howe said to me, "Are you going to go sell a house?" And I'm like, "Oh, I guess I must be ready." I flew out the door. Where now it's a lot of training.
Yeah.
They they
It's a
have to
different
know.
it's a different time and a different role, for what you're describing, as opposed to just sitting in your office cranking out phone calls all day. You're pulled in two directions, as am I.
Right. I mean, it's a lot of training. You and I have kind of talked about this new thing regarding buyer's agency and commission and things like that. So we're going into a lot of training so we can present value on why you should hire a buyer's agent.
Hmm.
We have a guide for the agents that gives a lot of detail so they can sit down and really, not forget everything and anything and go over everything in extensive. Um, we have a listing presentation that's got it, like it's filled with different things in case they need it. Different stats. They have the field card for the house. They'll have a seller's guide or vendor's guide. So and not only that, but when you're a new agent, you have to know a lot more technology than you used to know.
Big time.
Huge. They have to know dot loop. They have to know sky slope. They have to know how to use. We have now it's called Lofty. It used to be called Chime for our CRM program. So I really think almost everything that they learned in school they don't even need.
Yeah, I would
It's
agree. Yeah, kind of like college. It's the same thing. We have a team training at 9 a.m. today, and we do that in office twice a month on Wednesdays, and we are going over, which you referenced before, the CRM system. We're going over Follow Up Boss CRM again and again and again and again. It's nothing like you and I do, and it just goes away. Like, oh,
right,
we already did that. We covered that. So it's kind of like in grade school where they have you write your name when you're 5 years old every single Friday, until it's perfect cursive. You know what I mean? Like it's the same idea. We just keep hammering it.
right. I mean, you could sell real estate 24/7. It's never you never do enough, and it's um, The other thing we have in place that we didn't have, that I didn't have when I was a newer agent, is we have extensive systems. We have extensive systems. That purchase and sale check comes in, boom, it's a box check. I mean, every little piece of the transaction goes through this. But I think that the day of a real estate agent, I mean, I think typically, I mean, I time block everything. I have schedules for everything during the days, because if I don't, I won't remember really what to do. It just gets done kind of that way. But I think the agents right now are very busy with their business plans. I'm meeting with them next week, all of them one on one, to kind of go over, what they want to accomplish.
Mhm.
And it helps me figure out what they need. If I see their goals, everybody's different. Everybody's, we range from 23 to like 67. So
Mhm.
we've all got different goals and what we want to accomplish. So my meetings next week, my whole week is totally blocked out with just meetings with the agents one on one for an hour each. And they've been working on their business plans. What did we do this year? What do I want to do? What do I want to accomplish next year? How do I do that? Um, you know, what marketing pillars do I want to use? So they've been very, very busy with that. But like you mentioned before, I think with the thing about real estate is, if you have almost nothing blocked in your calendar,
Mhm.
your day is still full with something. You're always putting out some type of fire. There's always some emergency that you've got to answer. Um,
Exactly. The day controls you,
right,
right?
right,
And we made a joke about it earlier today. Like, like when you first start in the business, someone calls us, kind of see this house, you might get in your car and run out and do it. And whatever you were doing, like you said, you're working on goals, goals for the year, which is super important. And how is that any less important than one thing or the other? So I think it's the idea of, like you said, you're blocking things off, right? And saying, okay, and this is the hour I'm working on the seller's guide with the admin team or whatever. And it's closing the loop, right? You got to close the loop. You can't have everything open, or it just becomes, you think it's controlled chaos, but it's not. It's just chaos.
right. I think one of the things that we're going to do now too is I'm going to take this curriculum, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take pieces of it, and I'm going to offer it on an ongoing basis to the regular agents. I'm going to say, all right, today I'm going to talk, and I'm going to block it off within a month. This is what I'm going to talk about, your listing presentation. And if they want to join it and they need a refresher, or they, they can join that. And that way it'll always be keeping it fresh, ongoing, because this business, I mean, it's always changing,
Hmm.
always.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, buyer agency is now, we're almost thinking of it as a listing agreement,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it's not open, and it should have never been open ended anyway. But it's not in New Hampshire, but it's got to be one of those things that's commitment, and finding a way to be confident and say this to someone so that they know that the credibility is there is super important.
Right. And I know part of your day is the same thing as mine. I mean, a lot of my day is part of my day too, is always learning.
Hmm.
I have three different people I coach with. They all have different perspectives. I kind of take those pieces and see what fits our team the best. Um, Also, like, really what's going on in the world regarding, the economy and real estate. And also, I mean, I'm going through training all the time too. I
All the
mean, I've been
time.
doing this 25 years. You just still need training all the time if you want to get better at your job. So, and I know you do the same.
100%. I went to LA in September for what's called Follow Up Boss Conference, and you referenced Tom Ferry. Tom Ferry was one of the keynote speakers there, and there was a bunch of other ones there as well. And I had bumped into a couple of agents in Massachusetts that are on different teams, different companies. But this is a big time team that's there, that is there to learn and to pay the money to learn, and the continuing education is so important.
Yeah, so all that is really part of your day. If you're a
Mhm.
realtor, it's not just like walking into a pretty house and selling it in 2 seconds. It's a lot more than that. I mean, you can be working with people for years. You've got to stay organized. Not everybody's just ready to come on the market, and you've got to stay in touch with them all the time.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, the coaching is huge.
Mm.
So I know I had my coaching call yesterday. I told you, and then we have a group coaching call. You and I will be on that with Al Filippone and a bunch of Ravis agents, and it's never ending, and that's blocked in the day. I won't miss those unless I'm in the hospital or at a funeral. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I think those are just absolute gold. I have to be there.
Yeah, and I really kind of it's amazing to me when some agents are like, I don't need to learn that. You know, I mean, if they've been in the business, well, I don't need to learn that. I know everything. And we just hired an agent that just came on our team, and she's been selling a long time. And one of the things that amazed me about her was that she is so open to learn.
Hmm.
I'm like, wow, I never, I knew her, always loved her, but I'm like, wow, she's really open minded. I really love that about her. So she's not, an agent that just kind of walks in, thinks she knows everything, and she's closed minded. She's amazing. So
Right.
yeah, I was very, very, very happy about that because I like to learn all the time. That's why really I like real estate.
Yeah, no, it's the best. I mean, it's one of the coolest things ever. And one of my first coaches, she had was trying to help me build the team, and I had already hired this one or that one, and she said, the splits are all wrong. She's like, your accountability is all wrong, and we need to fix this. And this is what you're paying for. You're not paying for them to be nice to you.
Right.
You need to be told what to do sometimes. You need to be like you said, you need to be open minded. You need to be willing to learn, and it makes a huge difference.
It does. I think that agents that sharpen their skills, they serve their clients better. I think agents that go through training, I think and that's what I'm seeing, as I'm growing the team. That's what people seem to want the most is training.
Hmm.
And as I go through this curriculum, even though like it's extensive, it still never hits everything that you have to know in real estate.
Yep. It's true, and
You
like
know,
you said, it's going to change again. It's going to, 1 year from now, who knows?
exactly. Right.
So in terms of, so we kind of talked about what we do, like we do the PD. We talked a little about prospecting, Zooms, seller guide, buyer guides, things that are important. Now let's maybe focus on what should an individual agent do. So let's just say if you can kind of flip back and say, okay, now I'm gonna think about me being an agent that's on your team, we'll say, and they wake up in the morning, they go to the gym or whatever, and they work out. Then they get to the office. What should they be doing? What does their block schedule look like?
Well, the first thing they should be doing is prospecting. That's the first thing that they should be doing when they wake up in the morning. I mean, they should take care of themselves. I'm a big, an opponent about you. You need to take care of yourself first. So that's why I've always gone to the gym. They need to take care of themselves, take care of their family, and then as far as anything coming out of the gate, I think they've got to sit down and prospect and block that time because I think you're a lot fresher in the morning.
Hmm.
I don't know about you, but when I was doing a lot of prospecting when I was a single agent, I wanted to get it out of the way. I wanted to have everything taken care of. So I would do it first thing in the morning.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
what I
I'm the
that,
same
that's
way. At
what I
night,
would do.
typically at 9 a.m. On most days, it's like that's when I have to get it done because I don't honestly don't want to do it. So you call and text and emailing strangers. So sometimes it's not something that's super comfortable. Is even though we pretend it is normal. I just want to get it over with. I'm the same.
Right. And I think, pretty much after that, they pretty much go on different appointments. They've got home inspections. We've got pretty much full admin support, so they don't have a lot of paperwork like I used to have when I was a single agent. So they don't really have that. They're taught that in case they need to know it. So they're taught how to do all the paperwork.
Do you have
Um,
agents that try to do the paperwork? Like they maybe came from another company and they're just so used to it. They're good agents, and they feel like, well, Debbie, I can do a CMA and I can do this. Why do I need the admin to do it? Do you get that?
Well, I think when our team turned because the admin was supporting just me last year, and they weren't supporting the agents as much. And I think it was a transition for a lot of the agents. And I'm like, just give it to the admin. Because, it takes them 5 minutes to do what probably takes you 30. And then you could be making more money by prospecting. And, a lot of them, I say to them, just pick four pillars because you can't do everything. You can't be everywhere to everybody all the time. So pick four types of prospecting that you enjoy. Is it social media? Is it postcards? I mean, is it, and we've talked about some of the pillars last week that the people can go on, but just pick four and focus on that. But we did in the beginning, there was a lot of agents that really had a hard time with the control issue. They wanted to control that whole, and I'm like, all right, just look on this Google sheet. You can see every piece of the transaction in which box is checked. So they've gotten better at it. And some of them, once they've embraced it, they're like, I don't know how I did this without the admin support. Because
Yes.
the admin are good. These admin are good.
It makes a huge difference, because even Lexa's the admin that's typically sits behind me. She does a lot of our marketing, and she's pulling the seller guides together now for each agent, so it has their information in there and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So just having that is huge, and they're never going to be exactly what we are, So I always say if they're 80% of what we are, that's pretty good, right? And maybe just you might be cleaning up things a little bit here and there, but the idea is to focus on the money making activities.
Right. I mean, some of the agents just may not have like the years experience, the knowledge, and they come to us, for that. But the way I try to explain it to the agents, are you better off serving your client to try to find a buyer that's interested in their property or putting this paperwork up on dot loop? I mean, like, what is more important to your client following up things like that? You're serving your client much better if you focus on activities like that instead of just doing the paperwork.
Yeah, definitely. And how exciting would that be? Like if I think back when I had started at Remax, if all I had to do was sell, oh my good, I can't even imagine what that would be like.
Well, I think you and I have talked about this before. Like if you're a single agent and you're doing paperwork all the time, what happens is, you start getting busy. Then what you do is you get bogged down from this paperwork, and then all of a sudden you're slow because you haven't been prospecting, you haven't been following up. And now what happens is now you have no business again. And then you go back to the prospecting, do the paperwork again, get slow. It's like this vicious cycle where if you have full admin support, you just keep going. And I think
Yes.
it's better for the clients.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And it's all about like you said, prospecting and finding the different pillars. I personally am not going to hammer the phones for 8 hours. I'm not going to do that. So I have to find other ways, which we talked about social media.
Right.
Obviously, the traditional ways are important. Going to coffee meetings with past clients or friends, or um, taking a friend to the Celtics game,
Yeah.
taking a friend to a concert. I know you've gone on vacation with friends. I mean, there's a lot of different, like you said, pillars of prospecting, even where it's not, you have to cold call, 10 hours a day and don't
Right.
leave your
Yeah.
desk. You have to be creative. And so
Right.
that the job stays fresh. I think that's important in a daily schedule. Do you?
Right. And I think not everybody likes to do every type of prospecting. Everybody's different, and you should do what you feel is a good fit for you, and it won't feel like work so much. It'll be a natural fit and be easy
Exactly.
for you. But I think time blocking is, and we've talked about this, is extremely important because you don't want the day to run you. You need a constant list of what you should be doing and just putting it all together. And that's part of it too, is just sitting down every week, putting that whole calendar together, and you get much more accomplished.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that. Like, what do you have any apps or calendar programs that you find very helpful on, time blocking?
So A lot of, I use ChatGPT a lot for ideas.
Mhm.
And then I just have my regular calendar and I just block it. And it's on the computer, on the phone,
Is it a Google
everything.
Calendar or is it like
Outlook.
iPhone calendar or
It's just Outlook
just Outlook?
365 that Ravis has gotten. It connects to my phone. And this way, what happens too is like if the agents want to book a meeting, they can see what's open on my calendar and what's closed and things like that. But yeah, my calendar is pretty much full all day. Pretty much full all day.
Yeah, and I've talked to you before. I know that. Like if I text you, I'm not expecting a response until 24 hours. You know what I mean? Like because I know you're super busy, and I happen to I use my iPad, which syncs to my iPhone, and I've told you this before. I use Notability, and it's got the calendar. I just bought the 2024 calendar, and it's got everything that I need. It literally has the time from, I'm looking at it now, from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. And it has just these little slots where you can write everything in, and then it syncs to your phone. For me, it works really well.
Yeah, for me, I use the iPad for, I use Notability. It's more for like if I have different meetings, for example, my team leadership meeting, I have that under a folder for meetings. So I keep track of everything that we talk about, what we want to accomplish. I put time frames together. Okay, so we want to accomplish this. What's the deadline that we feel comfortable getting that done? Then I mark my calendar with that. And one of the things I have a hard time doing, and I'm doing better at it, is I have a tendency to take on too many things at once and getting overwhelmed because I have all these projects in my head that I want to accomplish. So what I do is I just write everything down. Just write everything. This is what I want to do. And then I just take the most important things and line them up and just keep banging them until they're done.
Was there a
But
time you were not writing things down?
there was, I always had paper notebooks, which was crazy. I could, like I'd have 5 paper notebooks and I couldn't keep track of anything. That's why the iPad is so important for me because it's just, I used to like when I was last year, I was doing listing presentations. I'd walk into a client's house. I'd have that client's address in the iPad. And then what happened is I would walk through and write notes on everything. Whereas if you get pads of paper all over the place, you're going to lose that. So let's say they don't list their house right away. Let's say they list their house, a year from now or something. Pad of paper's long gone. Where
Mm-hmm.
you go back to that iPad, you go into that particular folder, you know what they were talking about, if their house had hardwood floors, wood burning, I mean, everything. It's all
Yep.
lined in there. And it's like what price you were going to put on the house, everything. So I think, especially to me as if I was a single agent, I would definitely, there's some technology big time that I would invest in. And I hate to say this, but I stole this. I almost feel guilty about it, but not that guilty. I walked into the Verizon store. I got a new phone, 15, an iPad, an Apple Watch for like, I turned in my old phone. Like, it was like, not even $400 for
Yeah.
all that.
The funny thing is Debbie, that salesperson had no idea what they were up against when you went in to negotiate for electronics. They thought you were like, oh, she's, whatever. Maybe she's like an accountant or something. Like they had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So I stole that thing. So that iPad I use all the time. So I think as a single agent, I would definitely invest in an iPad.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that whether it's an Apple product or tablet or this or that, the electronics is way to go. I mean, like you mentioned, I have all my old calendar notebooks electronically. So if I ever had to go back and pull
Right.
something, it's in there. As clear
Well,
as day.
so I think, when I've gone over some of the agents' business plans, I was looking at them yesterday. So we have each agent's business plan set up on BombBomb. Okay, so it's got the agent of the picture, a picture of the agent, and it's got all their information. So if they've been with me for a while. We've got last year's stats, and they've been with me quite a while, the year before, things like that, what they've accomplished. So we can kind of look back at that. And this year, then we have this year, and it's the goals. Like, how many houses do you want to sell? How many buy sides do you want? How many list sides do you want? How many phone calls, and what do you need to do to get that? So that's if when they put this business plan together and then they time block it on their calendar, they can achieve what they want to achieve, because we'll give them the back end. I'll give them anything they need to be successful out there in the field, the training, the tools, the admin support, anything. But if they time block it, they have goals and this is what they want to do, they should be extremely successful.
Yes, no question. And I love how you said they have the goals, which our team does as well. But the important thing is, how are you going to do it? Because it's easy to say, well, I'm just going to sell 20 houses a year.
Right.
That's nice. How are you going to do that? Like you said, how many phone calls are you going to make? How many hours are you going to prospect? What are you going to do differently now compared to last year? So on and so forth.
Right. And these agents have been working on these business plans for a couple of months. So they've thought about it, and they looked back at, what they accomplished last year. And what we're doing this year is we're really getting into the nitty gritty of how many leads are given out to who, where they're coming from, how many are turned, how many are lost, how many are still working on. So we're keeping better track of our numbers as well. And all this takes time and time blocking and meetings. And
it does. Yeah. We get pulled in a few different directions.
yeah.
And that's fine. That's fine. But that's what you said, is you have to be organized. Otherwise we would just want to quit. We'd be like, I'm getting pulled here, I'm getting pulled there. And it makes it a little bit simple.
I start from the very beginning with the agents, and I say to them, when you get busy, you're gonna have to have systems in place, because when you get busy, you're not going to be able to keep track of all this stuff. Like I say to them, when they're listing a property, get all your paperwork done. Don't leave straggling paperwork all over the place, because what's going to happen is you're going to forget about the paperwork. Let's say you don't list a property that it's not coming on the market for 3 months. Get all your paperwork done, organized, in order, things like that. Because I say to them, when you get busy, you will not be able to keep track of all this. So have systems in place now.
You have to have the systems, and you'll forget. Like I had a listing signed in May of last year that's coming on in February. And I remember they said, this is a silly thing, but it's still important. They said the second floor doesn't have AC. And in my head, I wrote it down and I said, go into the MLS. The listing was already prepped. Like all the basics are there. The admin did that. It's all set. I went in right into disclosures and put that in, even before they filled out the seller's statement, because those little things matter, and like, if you're like, oh, I'll do that later. And, I'll get the seller's statement later and I'll get this later, then it becomes a disaster as you're starting to get it on the market.
Right. So I think that's very important to have systems in place, time block things, like I always have a to-do list on top of that, a personal to-do list, business to-do list that I keep on my iPad, and it's always a running list all the time.
Yeah, 100%. Well, this is really good. You can see what happens when we open the can of worms of time blocking and daily schedules and weekly schedules and all the things real estate related. Like Debbie said, we wish it was, but it's not just showing houses all day long like HGTV.
Right. No.
All right. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. Please like and subscribe and comment. We're thick skinned. Go ahead and write us a comment. We can take it and let us know any topics that you might be interested. Have a great day.